So, darling, how long have you... Well, when did you get diagnosed with MS?
It's a little bit blurry. It's around 6 years ago. I was working in the health system and started getting very sick, and then went through this, an 18-month to 2-year period of diagnosed with everything you can think of. And finally then the GP sent me for a series of brain scans after, headaches and blurred vision and some paralysis and all different things occurring. They finally took me to get an MRI and found I had all these lesions at the base of my spine, or at the top of my spine up here. And then the ball started rolling, and got a neurological specialist in Brisbane, and they sent me for some more tests and found I had MS.
Wow, and so you weren't a vegan at this time?
I was vegetarian.
Yep.
I was, so I went through the stage of, when I was at uni years ago, I tried to become a vegan, but I didn't have the knowledge or didn't research, or I thought it was, you could live with sort of baked beans and things like that, and you can't. I got quite sick then. But now, this second time around being a vegan, I understand the proteins and the percentages and all of that, and I design my diet much better. But yes, I what was I saying? I got sick with the MS, and I wasn't vegan at that stage. I was a pescatarian.
Yeah.
So I was still eating some seafood, mainly just a bit of fish every now and then.
Because I remember the first time we met in a coffee shop and just connected straight in. And I remember you saying to me that it was fasting, juice fasting and water fasting, that absolutely changed this MS diagnosis for you.
Yeah, well, it was a couple of things. I'd been sick, as I said, for 18 months or so, and sick to the point after working, sort of 12 years, I had something like one sick day, and then all of a sudden all my sick days were gone because I'd just been so ill, and I found myself basically at home for 6 months in bed, unable to walk sort of 20 metres. Wasn't able to drive because lost my vision in my left eye, had part paralysis, had dribbling, loss of bladder control.
Wow.
And found myself crawling around the floor a lot of time because I simply would get so disorientated when I stood up. Everything was spinning, and I had massive pains in my head. I had to literally crawl around on the floor. And I kept this from all my loved ones and my family for 6 months, and I tried to work through it myself. I thought that there's something going on in my life that's toxic, and as soon as I find what that one thing is, everything will leave my body. And but
this sounds very familiar.
But it just kept getting worse, and then it got to the point where my mother came down and dragged me off to the neurologist, and the neurologist basically said, you have to take one of these 2 medications to control your symptoms, otherwise you'll progressively get worse. You've got symptomatic, I don't know the actual term, but it basically means that you'll get symptoms every now and then, and every time they'll probably get worse, and they'll give you long-lasting symptoms that'll gradually put you into the wheelchair type thing.
Wow. And you said...
I said, look, so both...
Thanks.
I said, thanks for those options. Can you give me a few months and I'll get back to you? And so that was my choice. I left, and on the way home I asked Mum to stop at an organic fruit and veggie shop, and we got the Don Tolman Kabbalah juice fasting. So we've got carrots, red apples, beetroot, green apples, lemons, and yellow apples and red apples, whatever, green. And so I went home and did 14 days of juice fasting, and then 7 days of water fasting. And by about day 15, my symptoms started to leave my body.
Wow.
And I could breathe and I could walk, and the dizziness and paralysis and stuff had started leaving. And by the end of the 7-day water fast, I was pretty much symptom free.
Incredible.
The aching in my body, the constant neural pain through my body.
No supplements, just exactly those juices?
Yeah, just the juices. I followed it exactly as Don Tolman described.
What's it called again?
It's Kabbalah. Don Tolman.
Right.
So Don Tolman, the food, raw food. He promotes vegetarianism.
Yeah.
So food is thy medicine, Hippocrates sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I had been to his education a couple of years before and didn't think that it really applied to me. And at that point, so much of it applied to me, and I was now this person that he was referring to in his books, this sick person. And so I used one of his techniques, and that's what came to mind straight away for me, followed it, and as I said, about 20 days later I was symptom free. And so then I followed a process of fasting every change of season, so summer, spring, autumn, winter. I would do a 3 or 4 day fast, and once a week I would do a fast. So I followed that regime for 3 years. So that would mean, fasting 1 day for all year, 1 day a week for the full year, and then every change of season. So I, did 12, 15 major fasts in a few years, and I found every time I did it, my body felt healthier and stronger, and more symptoms were gone.
Wow, amazing. Okay, we'll come back in a tick, and I want to go into the gifts of MS, and also we've already spoken about this before, you and I, as in we've got these pathologies and these belief systems placed on us.
Yeah, absolutely.
This life-term kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just how we're working with that in our own headspace, yeah?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.